In this LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga video, we are going to be exploring the secrets of Tatooine. From Mos Espa and Mos Eisley to the Jundland Wastes, there is going to be so many secrets to explore, so make sure you watch until the end of the video. And before we do get into exploring the details, make sure you do subscribe to this channel so you won't miss the next episode in this exploration series. Also, comment down below which planet or capital ship you'd like to see explored in the next episode. Let's start at the docking bay in which you can land your vehicle in Mos Eisley, and if we go below the floor, you can see the ground is actually far lower than you'd expect. Look at that. It goes much lower than the actual playable floor. We can also go behind the walls and see the makeup of these buildings from outside, out of bounds areas. We can also go further out and see the cutoff point of Mos Eisley. This is very similar to how Mos Eisley in Battlefront 2 is, if you watch that episode of my exploration series. There are actual sandcrawlers in the background, much like in Battlefront 2, which is very cool to see. Just look at that, you might not have noticed them before, because they are so small, and if you go all the way out, it's very hard for you to actually see them, but there you go. In case you did miss those, they are there, and they just travel around the desert. There are a few skyhoppers in the sky, which you probably have noticed before. Here is a closer look at those speeders that are very repeated across not just Mos Eisley's airspace, but also many other planets. As you can see, there are plenty of them flying across Mos Eisley at any given time. We also have an X-Wing. As we go further out past the mountains, we can see this horizon sprite, much like on all of the other planets that we've been to. And this is the edge of the skybox, which we can go past. Look at that, it still looks great, even though we are breaking the boundary. And we can get closer to... Oh no, that is bright! We can get closer to the twin suns of Tatooine, and they are much brighter than the previous suns that we've seen in the other planets. You can say there's actually 2 light sources for this sun, and I think 2 as well for this one, or maybe it's just I can't really tell, to be honest, exactly, but that is cool to see, even if it is kind of blinding. This is where your capital ship will be parked if you have one selected. So this building is interesting because there is some light escaping in the gaps between the sand floor and the building, but if we go below the floor, we can see that the building is actually sunk underneath the ground. Look at that. Here is a doorway and a window underneath the ground. It should be high, but it isn't. You can see where they've placed these 2 buildings together, and this building actually goes into this one. It's got these pipes going through the floor, and the doorway has actually been blocked up by brick or concrete, and yeah, that is an interesting building, to say the least. This one also is a little bit underneath, but there is not an actual doorway underneath the ground. Now, if we attempt to go inside one of these buildings that you can go in, from the outside with the free cam, you'll see that it's blocked up. But if we go into the building first, before using free cam, we can go all the way out and see what it looks like from the outside. So it's just this small little building with some light sources to try and give the effect that there is sunlight coming in. But of course there is nothing actually outside of this building. What's past this gate, you might ask? Well, let's go through it, and we can see it's actually more bare bones than the other parts of Mos Eisley. And these buildings are sunken underneath the sand. Look, there's even a window that hasn't been covered up. And there is a doorway that you can go through if you was able to get it here. But look, you can see the top of it, top of the arch, but you can't actually go in it. Same with this power generator and these pipes. There is no way of seeing it unless you go underneath the map with a free cam. But now let's go inside and then take a look at the layout. And honestly, it looks really cool from this angle. It definitely looks bigger, I think, from this perspective. You've got these light sources that are using trickery to make you think there is sunlight blasting through, even though there is nothing there. The light shafts actually go through the floor itself. We are now in Mos Espa, and if we go up to the sky, we can see that there are different ships, with that Trade Federation shuttle just going the completely wrong way, like on all of the other maps we've seen it on. We have a Gazanti transport there, but look, it's just going completely in the wrong... It's going sideways instead of forwards. Just why? Whoa, that Skywalker is going quick. And it's a race! Who's going to win? It's the sideways Trade Federation shuttle. And even more. I really do like how much air traffic there is on this map. Mos Espa is far more plain, as you can see, outside of the playable area. It's just dunes and a few mountains like this, but pretty plain overall. We do have some darker rocks here, which aren't visible near Mos Eisley. If we go behind this door, what is there? There is nothing. It's just this. As we know, sandstorms are pretty prominent in Mos Espa. Well, if we go below the sand, let's see what's being covered in. Whoa, look at that. So this housing structure with these steps is actually far bigger than you realise. Originally, before the sand took over, it was down here. And now the sand has completely covered this building up. Look how much bigger it would have been. All of this is underneath the playable area. There's even this doorway here that's completely covered, that has nothing inside it, but there is a doorway there. And we also have what appears to be sand particles, maybe dust particles. Yeah, I think they're probably sand underneath the map, just there. It is just pretty cool to see all of these buildings that are actually far bigger than they are because they've been covered up by all of this sand. Look at this. This is where the sand starts, and then there is also a separate layer, and then this is the actual bottom of the buildings. Here we have Watto's workshop, and we can see that it's actually got a mini version of Mos Espa around it. It's very different to the actual real outside when you do exit the shop, but as you can see, it's very different. We have a bunch of small buildings, we have this archway, we've got this building just sat here along with a taller building. We do have the sprite that goes around the map. This workshop is also very similar. Even though the interior is a bit different, we do have the same exterior once again. We're now in the Junlin Waste. This is going to be awesome to explore. So let's just go inside the Lars homestead and see what it's like from underneath the map here. As we go further out, we can see a skyhopper, and there is also structure to resemble Mos Eisley. Look at that. You can tell by the architecture it's supposed to be Mos Eisley in the distance. So when you are at the edge of the playable area, you think, oh, maybe Mos Eisley's there. We also have a sand crawler in case you missed it. This one's much closer. And there was some strange motion blur there. Look at that. Unless it's just, I think it's the haziness, the haze effect that they put into this area because it's hot. We can go much further out and see just where those skyhoppers go. I think they disappear sort of around this area. They don't go all the way to the edge of the skybox, I think. Let's see. Let's take a look. Will it disappear? Will it not? Yep, it disappeared. So in this big rock face, we can go inside and see there is a lot of empty space inside the Tusken Raider tent now, and it's much bigger on the inside, as you can see. And for the door, we have this huge rectangle which stretches all the way past the tent, just to show that light at the doorway. This torch actually goes well below the floor. We are now at Jabba's palace, and as you can see, if we go further out, it completely disappears, but as we get closer, we can go inside it and see that there are these sections here through the palace garage, and there is an actual archway. Through this main garage doorway, there is nothing. And now we have the crate dragon hole and the lair, which is actually very small for this crate dragon. You'll notice that this mountain cuts off like that. There is also different colour in the sand. That's quite yellow, whereas this is more reddish orange. Let's take a look at the Sarlacc up close then, because it's quite a marvel. Just look at how many Lego pieces have been used to create this. It's insane, really, compared to the one that we had in the original LEGO Star Wars games, and of course the real LEGO sets. So yeah, these pieces are stretching Sarlacc's mouth. We can go inside the Sarlacc. Look at that! Wow, that is interesting. And these tentacles do go a little bit further than you'd think below the floor, but yeah, it's pretty insane. The artists that created stuff out of LEGO in this game, like the huge structures, incredible job. We are now doing the Boonta Eve Classic, and we can see the pod race level from the distance. Look at that, how cool is that? We get a completely different perspective. I really hope we're able to actually explore it when the gameplay resumes, because usually with vehicle levels it doesn't allow us to actually explore those levels, but this isn't procedural generated like the others. It's a set layout that doesn't change, so hopefully it will allow us to actually go round as Anakin's pod racer just goes on its own, and we don't have to take control and we can just use free cam. I think it's going to work. Let's see. The race is about to begin. Right. Here's the moment of truth. Yes! It lets us leave and not black screen like all of the other vehicle levels. Fantastic. This is awesome. Wow. See, because it's not procedural generated, I think that makes my hunch in previous levels right. Procedural generated levels we can't do, but actual levels with layouts, even though they're vehicles, we can. So we can go up close and take a look at all the details that we would miss out on because of how fast the pod racer goes in this level. And we're going to go all the way back to the start and take a look at all of the minifigs. Look at that, how cool that is to see them up close. We can also take a look at the start-finish straight. There is no special characters like Jabba and whatnot, they're all gone. They don't exist in the playable area, but we can also take a look at the pit stop area. It's just so awesome to see this from a different perspective. I'm so glad we're able to do this. Let's go further out though. Let's go all the way out to the edge of the level. And whoa, we are breaking the game. Right, let's go round the actual level now properly. We can go through the rocks. Go underneath the map a little bit. Then we go around here. Through this tricky section, which is just fantastic to watch in the Phantom Menace. Maybe we're catching up with this pod racer. And there is Suburba, and here is the Tusken Raider section. So, as you can see, well, rather, you can't see, there are no Tusken Raiders. It's just shots being fired, laser shots being fired without actual Tusken Raiders. I would have liked to have at least seen the Tusken Raiders there. And we can go into this section. This is the more easier sections, and then we're onto the straight, and there we go. So yeah, that is the pod race explored. Wow, pretty cool to see. I like how it's just going on its own, hitting the walls. This is if you don't touch the controller, don't touch the controls, this is what it will do. And it eventually will do a lap. Look at that, only those characters were spawning in that seat, and same with Jabba and the crew. This is the hunk of junk level, and I thought we'd do it, even though we've been to a docking bay before. We can see the incredible Ultimate Collector Series Millennium Falcon from a different point of view, and we also get to see these funny cutscenes in action as well from a different perspective. So here we go. This is the UCS Millennium Falcon. We go inside it, and just look how many Lego bricks were created to make this. It's absolutely insane. It's got all of this Technic structure. You know, further on, look at all that air traffic. There is plenty of it. But the docking bay is literally just the docking bay and nothing more. We're now going to do the Return of the Jedi Tatooine missions with this one, and we can see this version of Jabba's palace. We can actually go inside it, unlike in the open world. Look at that, we can actually go inside it that way. And now we can go outside of, whoa, it's a massive level. You'd not think it would be this big, but as you can see, it's far bigger than you'd expect. The whole of Jabba's palace. There is the Rancor pit down below. You can go through the gate and see this little hole here. So here is the main section of Jabba's palace. We have this throne here and the grate that leads to the Rancor. And we also have Han Solo in Carbonite right here. We're now doing the Jabba sail barge mission, and we can see the Scarlac pit and the sail barge in a new perspective. We can go further out and see the Dune Sea from much afar. This is the interior of Jabba's sail barge in the cutscene. You can see that it doesn't actually render most of the sail barge. So now we can use the free cam to take a look at this Dune Sea level. So we have these Banthas just travelling here, and then there is also another Bantha there, Tusken Raider camp, skeleton of a crate dragon, and we have these skiffs, which do have some people on sometimes, that has none on. This one does have a couple of guards on, and there is also that one which has a couple on. There is also a few guards that are actually on the floor, just stood there, doing nothing. Here is the actual Sarlacc pit, which actually has no animation. It's not running anymore. It only ran for the cutscene. It just has frozen now. There is a sandcrawler once again. And then there is also this skiff. That's got a couple on. I think one of them has Han on, doesn't it? Yep, there we go. He's just there. Let's go over to Jabba's palace, because as we know, Jabba's palace isn't this close in the film, but nevertheless, nothing underneath the map, I assume. Nope, nothing to hide. Although this section of terrain just goes all the way down. Like, what? What is that doing? I don't understand. It's just a bit of a rock face. A few rocks, but it goes all the way down, deeper than the Sarlacc pit itself. We also have this plane here next to the Sarlacc. Now we can take a look at the actual interior of the sail barge with this boss battle with Jabba. So as you can see, the battle is well, Boba Fett's just doing that, whatever that is, and the skiffs are still fighting, which is pretty funny. We've got this big one with Han, he's being shot at a lot, that one's racing around, and the sail barge is literally just this section. It's so funny just to see Boba doing that, like, what? And then C-3PO is down below here. He's just chilling with... He's got his legs detached and it's just all the way down here, okay. As you do. And we have the ending cutscene, which allows us to see the sail barge slanted and now it's disappeared. And then it's, there we go, blowing up. And that is Tatooine explored. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's taken me over an hour to record this, so please do drop a like to help support the channel and keep this series going. And let me know down below in the comment section which planet or capital ship you'd like to see explored in the next episode. Subscribe so you don't miss it, and make sure you check out the playlist on screen right now in case you did miss any of the previous episodes in this series. We may have already explored the planet you want to see, so click on that and I shall see you in my next Skywalker Saga video. Goodbye.